Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to today's second half. Before we jump into tonight's second half, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They all were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into tonight's second half, shall we? Also, briefly, I hope to see you all at tonight's Saturday Nightmares, live from the Adirondacks. I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to every Saturday because I get to spend time with my friends and family. Let's get into it, guys. Donald, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Thank you for coming back. One thing I'd like to point out, a lot of people did go back and listen to those encounters and uploads that you were on previous to mine, and one woman said she recognized you right off as Rusty Coleman.
Yeah, I am. That is my nickname.
Right. So I just wanted everyone to clarify that for everybody, because people were like, that's Rusty Coleman. Well, Donald is his birth name. And
real name.
Yep. So, Donald, once again, the floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's good to be back with you. I'll clarify that my name is Donald D. Coleman Jr. is my real name, and the D stands for Deming, so Donald Deming Coleman Jr. is my real legal name. And I shortened it to Donald Coleman Jr., and I'm also known as Rusty. In the southern states, everybody had a nickname. And the reason they called me Rusty because I was redheaded. I look like Opie Taylor, really. So I chose Rusty over being called Opie. And they still call me Opie sometimes, but it's just the way the southern people are. Now, getting back to these Dogman encounters, I've got it written down on July the 22nd, 2016. I was asleep in the garden room because it had air conditioning. It was real hot that day. And at 3:30 a.m., I had to get up and go pee. Now, I went outside to do it. And this is significant because it's the first time I went outside in 4 or 5 years. I don't go outside my house to do anything, but we only had one bathroom at the time, and that was go in Mom and Dad's room. I didn't want to disturb them, so I went over there and peed up by a tree. And the nature sounds were full force. I said, "Oh man, this is this not too bad." And I had to drink a lot of water because of my kidney issues. I went back and laid down, and about 4:15, 4:30, I had to get it back up, go outside, and it was cemetery silent. I go, how in the world could, it was noisy, and then it's not noisy. So I was sitting there, and I really keyed in to listen. And about 2 miles away would be about where Shallow Falls is, and Lanza Pickwick butts up to Shallow Falls. We're talking about deep in the woods now. Came this weird, unusual, howling and screaming. I go, what in the world? I mean, I froze right there just hearing those screams and howls, and I'm going, I hadn't been outside at night in probably 4 years, and I heard this screaming. And I tell you what, I literally started shaking in my boots. And I felt finished and went back inside, but this time I went upstairs in my hot room. I thought, if I'm going to be torn apart, they're going to have to fight to get me up in the bedroom here. And so I went back up there, and I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. Now, and then August the 17th, 2017, I was in the guard room again, and this was because we were renovating the whole house top to bottom. And my mother had recently died, and my dad had been put in a nursing home, and this time I was home solo by myself, and the construction workers were gone for that weekend, and I was in there by myself. But this time I was on the opposite side of the guard room that faces south, out where the stained glass windows are. I was in actually an enclosed deck, and it's called the guard room, and I was laying there facing the south. And now this one could have been a reptilian, because it was so unusual. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This one came up from kind of the northeast. I saw it coming up off Dockside Cove Road, and it was real low to the ground, and I was 45 feet away. And I'd be looking out the window at squirrels and birds and stuff, and this thing came up real quick, and it was yellowish green in color. I thought, I really caught it real quick, and I go, I've never seen this before. And it had the skin resembled the embedded beads of a Spalding basketball. It was we had some wild hydrangeas in the yard, and it was green and yellow, and it matched. And it was as big as the 2014 Nissan Sentra 4-door that we had at the time, still do. And it waited as traffic was going back and forth on Windy Pines Lane, and then it suddenly took off, and it ran towards the direction of the rear back of Wind Springs Cove, which if you look out our front door, actually by our mailbox, you can look across the street and actually see the back of Wind Springs Cove, the water view. And I didn't know what to think about that. And I called some people I knew over in Arizona, and I told them about it, and they said, well, it looks like you've had a reptilian sighting, because you saw it probably for about 8 to 10 seconds, and I could really read, see what the structure of this creature was. But it was on all fours, and it was low to the ground, and when it went up into the hydrangea bushes, it blended in, and then it waited when traffic got through, and it just shot across the road like you would see a lizard walk. And I'm actually getting out of the guard room and going out the front door to see where this thing was headed, and it was in the same direction that the 2015 howling, screaming dogwood came out of the woods with. And I'm going, oh, who opened this can of worms? And so that was at 4 o'clock, and then I didn't smell anything. Because I was in the guard room with air conditioning on, and I didn't smell anything. He didn't hiss or anything. It came up, stopped because of traffic, and just took off again. And I had about 10 seconds to view this thing. which I saw. When you get those kind of descriptions, like embedded beads of a sprawling basketball, that's what the skin looked like. But it was yellowish green. And I didn't really look at the eyes. I was looking at the structure, the length and structure of this creature. Now, I think I had a reptilian encounter on that deal. And that's what blew my mind, because I was so used to Dogman, but this was more reptilian. And again, same day, August 17, 2017, at 8 o'clock at night, I was on the main deck, and they had, like I said, they had been renovating the basement. There's a basement apartment I have, and they had gone in and gutted it, and they had it open from the outside, but thankfully I had it closed off so it couldn't access the inner part of our home. And they were working on it and gutted it, and we had lights all over the place. We had outside lights, we had inside lights. I was standing on the main deck on the north side, northeast side of the deck, and I saw shadows. I saw something go. I looked down. I go, "What's that?" And it was a shadow going. It was a pungent odor of wet dog. I said, "Oh no, it's another. Well, this has to be a dog, man." It ran on. It's by people. And all I could see was a shadow going between the lights. And it ran through the woods, and it tore up the woods as it was running. It was running. There's an old alleyway that cuts through to the northeast side of our home. It goes straight to it goes between three vacant lots are on the lower end of Dockside Cove Road and Vanish. But it tore up the woods along the way. It was really making noises. And it had a foul odor. And I just ran in the house and ran upstairs. And it was safety up there, even though the room was torn up. So they gutted this whole house. And so that's what happened there. And then we're going to get over here to, we're going to go over here to October 2018 now. I was in the hospital in 3 Tennessee medical facilities in Savannah at Hardin Medical Center. At the main hospital is Jackson, Madison County General Hospital in Jackson, Tennessee. And then I was over at the Adamsville nursing home and rehab in Adamsville. That's home bus, by the way, over in McNairy County. And I had 3 deadly infections. I had diabetic ketoacidosis, diabetic gangrene in my foot, and I had MRSA, which I never heard of before until that time. I had deadly infections in my mouth, and I had a deadly brain infection. And so they put me in an ambulance and took me to Jackson. No, my sister took me to Jackson. And then I rode the ambulance to Adamsville Rehab Center. And I came in September the 21st, 2018. I got out for like maybe 12 hours on the 28th. And then the next day, my sister took me to my family doctor, Dr. Michael Smith, who said, take him to Jackson General Emergency Room right now. Take him right now. And so we went by the lawyer's office and to make sure that my sister had power of attorney, because I couldn't even function and stuff. I was totally out of my mind. I couldn't remember my name. I couldn't remember nothing. But when I'm in my right mind, I can remember everything. But when my mind was messed up because of deadly infection in my brain. So they took me to Jackson General. I went into 5 grand mal seizures. And I've been having those for over, that was 2018, 12 years. I went to a neurologist and he thought it was sleep deprivation. I do have sleep apnea. and he didn't run any further tests on me. And but he told me, he said, you need to go see board certified specialists. And, you know, they can really help you. I said, yeah, you're board certified specialist, and buddy, you missed a ticket on this one. You know, you missed it. I was in a severe state of health. So I was, I went into hard medical with a 400 blood sugar. I got out. I wasn't out, you know, long enough to get in trouble again, and my blood sugar going in on the 28 was 700. And I was in, anyway, when I went on the cytogram, I was on it's almost like I had COVID-19 because they put me on a ventilator for 50 hours. I mean, I was between eternity and life on this earth as I knew it. I mean, I was right there in the balance of either one. Could step right into eternity. And so I came out of surgery after I got off the ventilator. I think they kept me in intensive care for a little bit, watching my vitals and all that. And immediately I went into a surgery. The podiatrist, also the Dr. O'Keery from Jackson, took my big toes off my left foot, and you could have put your whole fingers down into my foot. That's how deep it went. And I remember coming out of surgery, and they brought me in my room, and there's my sister, her husband, her oldest son, and I'm thinking, what are y'all doing here? I didn't think it was a big deal. And my sister, I asked her, what's this bandage for? And so she goes, I had to make the call to amputate your feet, your toes, and you're gonna have to learn to walk again. So let me tell you something, people. You lose your big toe and the toe next to it, and that was major surgery, and you have to relearn how to walk. And I thought, oh my goodness. And then Dr. Keith Taylor came in. He's an oral surgeon, and he said, your teeth have got to come out. All I had left was my bottom teeth. He took every one of them out. And because they said the infection in your teeth may have gone to your brain. And I thought, I don't agree with that assessment. I think I just don't understand how your bottom teeth can affect your brain. Now, the upper teeth can, because it's closer to your brain than your bottom jaw. But I was at their mercy. And they put me through that, and then Dr. Soshin, the infectious disease doctor, she came up to my face and she said, we got problems with your brain. You got a major deadly infection. I'm going, well, what can we do about it? And I think they ran a total of 6 MRIs on that hospitalization, and 2 of them were the contrast dye they put in me, and the other ones were not. They were trying to figure out what was going on. Then the neurosurgeon came in, and the neurologist came in, and they said the MRI showed there's lesions in your brain growing at a rapid rate. I did a EGG with that stuff I'll put over your head and stuff. The way, some kind of a nerve wave or something. I don't know how it works. But then I had to do a lumbar puncture, and then they came back and said, we need to cut open your head. So they went in to my brain, and I'm going to tell you something. The scaredest I ever was when I was on that table being prepped for that major surgery. I was so scared. I said, Lord, you know, I know that I've messed up and I'm a sinner, and I'm asking for mercy right now. You know, please, I felt like he was going to turn his back on me. I said, please, Lord, don't leave me. And about that time I said that, I felt a hand touch the back of my shoulder, like, I got this, don't worry. and there was no human being standing anywhere near me. It was almost like an angelic being was in the room with me. And I went through surgery. They put me down deep, and my sister goes, I didn't think you were going to make it out of brain surgery. And I was out. It took about 5 nurses to shaking me up, trying to wake me up. And I finally came to, and they go, are you okay? I said, yeah, I got a headache. Because she whacked open my head. It hurts, you know. And so, and then they sent me to Adamsville, and a guy named Nick Williams, and he's a great rehab guy, and David Ford, and Samantha, and Melinda, and Melissa. They were all on the team, and they really helped me to walk again. They were there to help me relearn how to walk, and it took, I was in there for 6 weeks. I got out on 12/6, came back home, I had to come back home by myself again. And I'm a real quiet person. I'm real peaceful because there's no stress on me. But I was real stressed coming back in, and I didn't go down to the basement. I went to the main house, which I had, apartment was going to be my place to live. But anyway, they put me in the main house. And lo and behold, about 2 weeks later, I said, 2 weeks later on December the 18th at 11:30, I was really constipated because of all the new drugs that they put me on, these antibiotics, up to about 3,000 milligrams a day. I was on those antibiotics, and because they'll mess you up and constipate you. And I was taking all kind of stuff to go to the bathroom. And the time I walked in the bathroom, and I was about to sit down, well, 3 feet behind the bathroom wall is the side deck that faces the killing fields. And there's a big wrought iron table. As I was going down on the commode, that wrought iron table just flipped. And just bam! I thought, I about jumped in the ceiling when I heard that. And it was a Dogman creature on the deck and went and turned up all the wrought iron furniture, which we had 2 chase lounges, a table, 2 chairs, and another chair, turned them all upside down, screamed, jumped off the deck, and took off running. I'll tell you what, he cured me of constipation that night. I did smell him. It was a pungent odor of wet dog, and it was dry, though. It wasn't raining or anything. I thought, well, he might have taken a dip back in Wind Springs Cove, but he was a bad smeller. And that scared, I thought, well, dog, man, you left me back home. You missed me for 4 months, wondering where I was. But it scared me pretty bad, and I got over it. And then here we are in 2019. Let me backdate this to October 2018. My sister was here alone. She was sleeping in the bed I'm sleeping in now. The main, mom and dad's old room, the master bedroom, and she heard 2 animals outside her window tearing each other apart. Just going down and ripping each other's dreads. Heard the screaming and hollering and howling, and of course that scared her. And so she texted me, "What do you think it is?" I said, "You don't want to know." And so anyway, in 2019, on March the 15th, I was laying in bed, and this was about 9 o'clock at night, and I heard a loud howl and a loud scream, and all of a sudden I heard something hit the outside wall, like you double up your fist and you go to swing it or something, and it hit the outside wall. I go, good God. But, it was so quick. But I saw that they screamed and howled and hit the wall. Then on June 16th, 2019, this was about 11 o'clock, I was watching a movie on the iPad, and I've got Wi-Fi, and I got the deluxe package, and so I'm able to do more exploring on the iPad. June the 16th was 3 loud knocks rattling the front door, which is behind my head, rattling the front door. The doors were being rattled all around the house. And that's when I heard that, saw that, the bad smell again, the rotten, dirty, dead dog smell outside. And that was 2019. And here on 2020, on May the 16th, this is again at night, probably about 10 o'clock at night, heard the screams and howls again coming from the northeast corner. And I said, one of my sister heard it. About that time, I got a text message, and she said, "What in the world was that?" I said, "That sounded like Dogman." I said, "That's why I always tell you, when you're sleeping down in the basement, make sure all the new doors have got a deadbolt on it and a new lock, and it's one key opens all the doors." I made sure that way we could always unlock the doors if we lost the key. And that was May 16, 2020. And on June 2020, he's knocking on the door. He's knocking on the outside wall, and I was home alone that day, and knocked on the outside. I mean, he's hidden like he's mad and won't in, beating on the outside walls. I'm sitting there going, I'm in shock. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, why? What do you want, Dogman? Why are you so interested in me? And what I'm about to tell you next is very controversial, but I'm thinking, there's like a puzzle going on about all these Dogman encounters I'm having at odd intervals and weird times, and people are here and people are not here, and I'm having to live through all this. And I was researching back in 2000 when I was married. My wife is a pharmacist, and we're divorced now and have been since 2006. But when I was married to her, I got up one night and I was just couldn't sleep, and I went in her living room, picked up a Harrison 8th edition medical internal book. There were 2 books. Now, I have dyslexia, so I need the Lord's help to get me through this. So I prayed. I just felt like I'm looking for an answer to a long ago question: why am I so different than other people? And within 2 hours, I came across the genetic codes. And I came across a chapter on Klinefelter syndrome. I read that whole page, and I hit every marker on that page. I said, here's my answer. But I've got to have proof positive. So I went to then Dr. Howard Thomas was my regular doctor, to get a referral to go see the endocrinologist, Harold Saxon, Memphis, Tennessee, over at Baptist Hospital. And I took my dad with me. My dad is a Army drill sergeant during the Korean conflict. He used to train soldiers to go fight in Korea, and he was stationed in Munich, Germany, just before I was born. And anyway, I took him. He goes, well, why'd you bring me? I said, because I know this doctor's going to he's going to squirrel his way out of giving me that test. I said, I want you to put your Army drill sergeant and get up in his face. And that's exactly what it went down. He wasn't going to give me the test because it was $1,400. And Dad pinned him up against the wall. He says, you're going to give him that test, and we'll decide who pays what on that test. You're giving it, and he scared the hell out of that doctor. Because my dad's a real quiet type, but you turn him loose with that military drill sergeant, he'll scare the G's out of you. And so that doctor got the G's scared out of him, and he ordered the test. The test came back positive, 47XXY Klinefelter syndrome. I said, thank you. And, and then later on down it was about 6 months later, I got the test results back, and so I went back to hear Harold Sachs tell me to my face that I was Klinefelter syndrome, and he said, but you owe $400. I said, well, Dr. Sachs, I'm under 2 80/20 policies, and I said, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, Dr. Sachs. As soon as I get back home to Savannah, I'm going to call the Commissioner of Insurance of the state of Tennessee. I'm going to tell him about my issues with you and your office and the 2 80/20 policies that I have, and I'm going to find out who's going to pay what. But I'll get to the bottom of that. 2 hours later, I got back home to Savannah, and the phone was ringing, and it was Dr. Harold Sachs' office. And he got on the phone and he said, don't worry about it. We got it covered. So I must have rattled him good when I was fixed to call the Commissioner of Insurance State of Tennessee, and I think that guy was trying to bamboozle me on that $400. I didn't have to pay $1. These doctors in these hospitals, every state in the United States has a Commissioner Insurance for your state. Remember to call them when they harassing you about a bill or something. That's your advocacy right there. Now, in 2017, my sister said, you have an enormous eating habit, you have trouble losing weight, and I thought it was Prader-Willi syndrome, so I took my findings to my doctor. He said, you don't have Prader-Willi syndrome. I got patients that have that, and if you can go 33 days without eating, believe me, you don't have it. And so I looked up another thing, and I was, back in his office 30 days later, and I looked up 48XXYY. And I said, could I be this? Because it's morbid obesity. The variant is the morbid obesity. And he says, you've got that. So it was doctor diagnosed, but it wasn't blood karyotype tested. But he said, there's your problem. One was active and one was dormant. That's what he told me. So that's why these Dogman, they can't figure me out, because I've got like 3/4 female hormones and 1/4 male hormone. And the Dogman's like, what are you? Are you male? Are you female? Are you both? Or what? So when I had my testosterone tested, it tested at positive 17.45. And if regular testosterone in a male, the end low is 300. So when I was at Adamsville in 2018, the Dr. Peters was my regular physician from 2006 to 2012, and he fired me because I got Dad involved, and he said, I don't need you as a patient. I had to go look, and it took me a while to find Dr. Mike Smith. And I didn't tell him the whole story about me. And then later on, I had to do a wellness, and they said, if I'd have known your whole story, I wouldn't have taken you as a patient. I said, Doctor, I'm sorry I had to hide behind a lot of stuff. And I said, but I needed a doctor, and you were the only one willing to take my case. And I said, look, I know you can't cure me. All I'm asking is you maintain me with the drug you y'all put me on to get me where I can function in society. So Dr. Peters in 2018 pumped my testosterone to 2,209. Now, and then I went and tested with Dr. Michael. He said, man, your testosterone is 2,209. You're going to get prostate cancer. I said, well, so I quit taking it altogether. I waited till my levels brought back up to 300, and I stayed on that regimen. Now I do one testosterone shot a month, 300. I can live with that. So, I was in trouble again in 2019, so I did everything outpatient. I had osteostomitis, with the severe bone infection, and I did outpatient at Darrell Worley Cancer Center in Savannah, Tennessee, and the Wound Care Center saw me, Dr. Klein and Dr. Gallopone, worked on me at the Wound Care the whole year, trying to keep my feet from being whacked off and stuff. And I did a good job. In 2020, I found myself in trouble again. In March and April, I was doing outpatient stuff at Hard Medical, and I went in there the second time to do blood work, and I passed out. I hit that concrete floor face first, and I thought, when I hit the floor, I kind of lost consciousness, and they got the EMT paramedics, put me in a wheelchair and took me to the emergency room, and I was in there for a while, and my sister came in, and she got involved, and she goes, can't we not take him to Jackson? And so the next day, she was here at the house with me. I couldn't get up. I couldn't stand on my 2 feet. So I called an ambulance, and they brought the ambulance down here, and I was barely able to stand up. And he said, I thought you couldn't stand up. I said, I'm trying to get in that stretcher if you bring it over, because you're not going to lift a 330. You 2 weaklings couldn't lift me, I know you're not that strong. So I got in the ambulance, brought me to the Hard Medical Center, and finally, I was in there for like 12 hours. My sister came in. Her son, Dr. Eric Smith, came in. He's over at Sharon Baptist Church in Savannah, and they had the whole church praying for me. And they took me that afternoon, lights and siren, to Jackson General, and they thought I had a TIA mini stroke. I was in kidney failure again. I was at stage 5 level. So here we go again. And they got me in there, and I think they did. They didn't do any surgery, but I had to go into an intensive care unit again because my blood pressure was 53/47. And I usually have high blood pressure. That's the first time I had low blood pressure. So, and I finally got out in April and came back home. And that was in 2020. So that's where I've been medically in extreme, catastrophic, severe levels.
Now, Donald, really quick, we've got about 9 minutes left. Basically, what you're getting at is that you feel that all of your illnesses combined, the Dogman can sense and is curious about what you are and what is going on.
It's curious about what I am, and I went to the dentist down the road, Dr. Glenda Wally, who did an X-ray of my whole mouth. I had to stand up and I barely fit in the X-ray, and she said, Rusty, I hate to be the very bad news, the hole inside your mouth is female. I said, well, I didn't take that as an insult. I took that as confirmation that here I am proven to have 2 genetic codes, 47XXY, 48XXY, puts me in a ratio of 1 in 50,000.
Right.
And I'm thinking, with all that caused all the medical problems I had. And the Dogman, or whatever these creatures are, I seem to attract them because my hormones are so fouled up.
Right.
And they don't know, are you male, are you female, are you transgender, what exactly are you?
Right.
But I identify as heterosexual male, but I don't really have a sex drive. So I didn't start really, when I got married at age 30, I was still a virgin because I didn't have a sex drive. I didn't even care if I went with a girl or didn't. And I usually just didn't go with anybody.
Okay. So you're, I mean, because a lot of people have multiple encounters, and this could explain why you have had so many encounters, and you 100% believe that.
I do.
And you've shared that with, other channels. And it seems like a very plausible point to me. It's definitely you've had a very crazy life and a lot of health issues, and I truly commend you for coming on and sharing everything. I'll keep you in my prayers, and I'm sure the majority of everybody that listens to my channel will as well.
I appreciate that.
Now, we got off topic a little bit for a while, because you wanted to explain what had been going on medically to get to the base of why the Dogman and these cryptids are coming towards you. I honestly, that seems like a very plausible case to me. I mean, there's no other explanation. And
well, I'm telling you point blank, honest truth about me. I'm thinking, why am I being picked out when I don't go looking for these things? I want to get away from them. I wish they'd go somewhere else.
Right. I mean, they've been on your roof. They've been everywhere.
Yeah, they've been on my roof. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just
it's extremely bizarre.
Yeah, and that is the one thing that makes sense, because it's, hormonal confusion. The Dogman is just confused. It's in your area. It can sense you as something different to the other humans or other animals around it, and it's kind of like, WTF is this? I want to check this out. And, that makes absolute sense to me. We got about 6 minutes. Can you share, you had one encounter yesterday, not your encounter, but you shared with me about a helicopter crash. Can we end today's episode with that, please?
I think it was in either 14 or 15, or maybe even 16. It was on WHNT News out of Huntsville, Alabama. The story, you could pick it up from there. A helicopter landed on the Culver County side of the Natchez Trace Bridge in Alabama, and he radioed, he cell phone talked to his company, who said, stay there, don't get back in that helicopter, and don't try to fly highway patrol, rescue squad to your location. It's just going to take a while because you're in a remote location. And so while he was waiting, now I had cell phone talk to Tim Kumbo Baker. He told me a bunch of stuff about Pickwick Lake. He lives over there between Tuscumbia and Sheffield, somewhere out in the woods. And I talked to him on the cell phone, so I asked him a whole bunch of questions. And that guy you want to talk about a genius. He's a genius. He's like a NASA scientist. This guy is up there, and he's on episode 36 on Dogman Encounters Radio with Vic Connors. You need to go and listen to that. And he has taken stories about Dogman up at L.B.L, and also at the 10-Time Waterway, when I sensed that was danger down there, I found out later, talking to Kumbo, that two 8 guys on an ATV were running through this old slough, and they were criminal trespassing, and a Dogman got after them, and I think it's the same Dogman that Officer Bill saw in 93 and I saw in 95. I think they awakened it from its, and all that noise and screaming and hollering they were doing. This Dogman got after him and chased him down a county road doing 45 and 50 miles an hour reach. The Dogman almost took the back seat off. One of them just raised his fingers and tore into the leather, and then he caught the back end of the guy's jacket and ripped the jacket off of him. And they were screaming, hollering, crying, and running for their lives. And that Dogman was right on at 50 miles an hour. Now, let's see. Of course, that happened, and so looking back on it's like a master puzzle. And then I was working at National Rocket Motor Plant, and Officer Bill came in. He said, "I need to see you." I said, "Come in." He said, "I've seen a wolf." I said, "Well, how big is it? Bigger than you?" I said, "Standing up?" I said, "I was 6'4" at that and 330 pounds. I said, "Well, you're going to have to put it on a report, Bill. They got to know about it." And that guy, like he was Snow White. He was seeing a ghost. He was shaking. I mean, I said, "Sit down." I gave him a cup of coffee. I said, "Calm down, breathe slowly." I said, "Bill, I know it's bizarre, but you got to put it down. They need to know about this stuff." So he did. And then let's get back to the helicopter story.
Yeah, because we got a couple more minutes left.
Tim Coonbo Baker told me there's boogers all over that area, Natchez Trace to Bear Creek. And one time he was fishing in Bear Creek, and broad daylight out pops a booger strolling down the rocky beach. But the helicopter guy, apparently, I think he was spooked by some, Tim Kubo calls them boogers, but that's Sasquatch. They scared him. He got back in that helicopter and tried to fly across. He thought he would fly to safety. I said, "Well, buddy, they're on both sides of the river. You know, you're going to encounter them again." And he lost control of his helicopter, and he crashed under the bridge at the Natchez Trace Parkway Bridge in Pickwick Lake. Thing sank, and two bass fishermen eyewitnessed the helicopter crash. And he said that guy was just like full-blown panic, and they rushed over to see if they could, get him out of the helicopter, but the helicopter sank with him. They did a dragging operations and all that stuff, and they found the helicopter within 2 days, pulled it up on a barge, and it took 4 or 5 days to find that helicopter pilot. And they finally found him. It was a big rescue mission and everything. And I'm thinking to myself, after Tim Coonbo Baker talked to me, that was a cryptid encounter.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, we're all out of time. Donald, thank you for coming on again. I really appreciate it, and you are definitely in my prayers. I will keep you in my prayers at night and pray for your health.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything. And any last words for the subscribers real quick?
You have the right to accept and reject my story. It doesn't hurt my feelings whether you think I'm a nincompoop or whatever, but I'm telling you honestly from the heart, these things exist. How they exist, we don't know. We don't know how they exist. How long have they been here? Honestly, I don't understand certain things. Even in the Bible, I have a hard time. So listen to Jeffrey's show, and what you need to do is glean some information that will keep you safe in the area that you're working in, recreating in, hunting in, whatever you're doing. These things are chasing the game out of the woods into the residential zones where we live, so the animals actually feel safer with us than what's really going on out in the woods.
All right, folks, there you have it, tonight's second half. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that keeps the channel growing and going, and honestly, what gives people like Donald Coleman Jr. a chance to share their experiences and theories judgment-free, just simply treated with the respect that we all deserve. Thank you. Everyone, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, our pets, our family, and our friends. These creatures and events are real. This stuff is happening. These creatures are dangerous, and they are out there. Share this information with your friends and family and those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.